Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the secrets hidden within corporate filings. And today we're diving into a merger that is aiming to shake things up in the banking world. Get ready, because this one has some interesting moves about who gets to sit at the big table. We're re-looking at an 8K filing today from QNB Corp. They're re-announcing a big plan to merge with another company called the Victory Bancorp. Incorporated, think of it as two banks joining forces to become one bigger, stronger entity. This is serious business, and the official date for this announcement, the earliest event reported, is the 23rd of September 2025. So, what is the deal with this merger? QNB Corp, which is based in Pennsylvania, and the Victory Bancorp, also from Pennsylvania, have signed an agreement to combine. The plan is for Victory to merge into QNB, with QNB being the one that stays standing, and it does not stop there. Victory's own bank, the Victory Bank, will merge into QNB's bank, QNB Bank. This means all the operations, customers, and employees are set to consolidate. The leaders of both companies, their boards of directors, have all given this a big thumbs up. They all agree this is a good move. Now, let's talk about what this means for the shareholders. If you own shares in Victory Bancorp, your shares will be converted into QNB Corp stock. The rate, or the exchange ratio as they call it, is 0.55. 00 shares of QNB stock for every 1 share of Victory stock. This is the heart of the deal, how ownership is transferred. It is important to note that this applies to most shares, but any shares held by dissenting shareholders, those who formally objected to the merger according to the rules, will be treated differently, and 1T get this specific deal. This next bit is for those who might have stock awards or stock options with Victory. If you had restricted stock awards, they will automatically become fully vested when the merger happens, and then they will be converted into the same QNB stock deal. For those with stock options, QNB will essentially take over those options. They will become options to buy QNB stock instead of Victory stock, keeping the same terms, just adjusted with that exchange ratio we talked about. This is a pretty standard way to handle employee equity in mergers, making sure everyone's incentivized to stick around and make the new company successful. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, especially if you're into the strategy and who is calling the shots. QNB is promising to bring some key people from Victory onto their own board of directors. Specifically, Joseph W. Major, who is currently the president and CEO of Victory, and also a board member, will join the QNB board. Plus, one more director from Victory will get a seat. QNB will even put these Victory directors up for election by their shareholders at the next big meeting. This isn't just about absorbing the company, it is about integrating leadership and getting valuable experience from Victory into the new structure. And it gets even more specific. QNB is also considering adding a third director from Victory to their board. They're also making sure these new directors, along with Mr. Major, will also sit on the board of the merged bank, QNB Bank. To make sure this all fits, they're even willing to bend some of their own rules about director age or qualifications. And here is a special detail they've included. If Mr. Major gets re-elected to another term on the board of the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh, QNB is guaranteeing that he'll be able to serve on the QNB Bank board for as long as that takes to complete 2 more terms there. On top of all that, Mr. Major is going to become the vice chair of the boards of both QNB and QNB Bank. He'll also be in charge of QNB's Strategic Planning Committee. This is a clear statement about how much they value Mr. Major's experience and leadership. To ensure a smooth transition, both Mr. Major and Victory's Chief Financial Officer, Robert H. Schultz, will be signing consulting agreements with QNB. This usually means they'll be available to offer advice and help out during the integration period, making sure all the knowledge and foresight they have is passed on. The merger agreement also includes what they call customary covenants. Think of these as the basic rules of engagement for the merger. Both companies have to work together to get their shareholders to approve the deal. Their boards are recommending that the shareholders vote yes, and Victory is agreeing not to talk to any other potential partners about merging for now. It is like saying, we're committed to this deal. When will this whole thing be finalized? They're re-aiming for the end of 2025 or the beginning of 2026, and there is always a but, this depends on a few key things happening. First, both QNB S and Victory S shareholders need to vote and approve the merger. Second, they need approvals from regulators. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC, and the Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities are on the list. They also need to file a registration statement, basically a document detailing the new stock being issued with the CC, and finally, no one can legally stop the merger from happening. These are all standard hurdles for any bank merger. There are also more general deal conditions, like making sure that the information each company gave about itself is correct. Basically, they have to be honest about what they're bringing to the table, and both have to do what they promised to do in the agreement. It's all about making sure the deal is as solid as possible before it closes. Now, nobody likes to think about things falling apart, but these agreements always have an exit plan if either QNB or Victory decides to walk away from the deal under certain specific situations. Victory might have to pay QNB a fee. That fee is set at $1,575,000. This is often included to ensure that companies think very carefully before backing out of a major agreement. To make absolutely sure that the deal has the backing of the people in charge, QNB got support agreements from Victory's board members, and Victory got similar agreements from QNB's board members. What this means is that all these directors who are also shareholders have promised to vote their shares in favour of the merger. This is a huge vote of internal confidence and helps guarantee that the deal won't be derailed by its own leadership. They're saying that what they've described here is just a summary. The full details of these support agreements are available in the exhibits attached to this filing, which are like appendices giving you all the fine print. And the same goes for the merger agreement itself. This is the big one, the master document outlining the entire transaction. What we've discussed is just a high-level overview, and the full legally binding details are attached as another exhibit. They also mention that having the agreement attached is just to give you information about its terms, not to provide more financial data about either company. They also reminding everyone that this filing, this 8K, is just one piece of the puzzle. To get the full picture of what is going on with QNB, Victory, and this merger, you need to look at other filings they've made with the SEC, like their regular reports on Forms 10K and 10Q, and the upcoming registration statement on Form S-4. It is like reading a chapter of a book. You need the whole thing to understand the story. To get the word out about this big news, QNB and Victory put out a joint press release on the same day they signed the merger agreement. This is how companies officially announce major events to the public, and a copy of that press release is also included with this filing. They're also providing some extra information about the merger, which is pretty standard for these types of announcements. As mentioned before, QNB will file that Form S-4 registration statement. This document is really important because it will contain a joint proxy statement and a prospectus. This will be sent to all shareholders of both QNB and Victory before they hold special meetings to vote on the merger. It is their way of giving shareholders all the details they need to make an informed decision, and they strongly encourage all investors and shareholders to read that joint proxy statement and prospectus. Very carefully, they're emphasizing that these documents will have all the crucial information about QNB, Victory, and this merger. It's imperative for shareholders to be well informed before casting their votes. They're also flagging that the companies themselves, along with some of their top executives and directors, might be considered participants in asking for shareholder votes. This is a legal disclosure, saying that the people running the companies are actively involved in getting shareholder approval. This is a standard legal disclaimer. They're saying this communication is not an attempt to sell or buy any securities. They're also making it clear that if they were to sell securities, they would only do so in places where it is legally allowed, after going through all the proper registration steps. Now we're getting to the forward-looking statements section. This is where companies talk about what they expect to happen in the future. It's important to remember that these are predictions, not guarantees, and they're based on current information and assumptions. They're saying that anything in this document that isn't about past events is considered a forward-looking statement. These are their plans, their hopes, their goals for the merger. But they also throw in a big warning. These predictions are based on a lot of assumptions and can be affected by many risks and uncertainties. Essentially, they're saying, we hope this happens, but things could go wrong. They're giving examples of words they use that signal a forward-looking statement. Words like anticipate, expect, plan, will, and could are all used to talk about the future. This is a common way for companies to manage expectations and protect themselves if things don't turn out exactly as planned. If you want a deeper dive into the potential risks and uncertainties, they're pointing you to their annual report and other SEC filings. This is where they list out all the things that could potentially derail their plans. They're reinforcing that these aren't facts about the past, but rather what management believes will happen, and they're being upfront that a lot of these things are uncertain and beyond their control. So the actual results could be quite different, potentially very different from what they're predicting. Here is a big list of the specific risks they see. They worry that the expected benefits of the merger might not happen or might take longer than planned. They're concerned that combining the two companies could be much slower, more expensive, or just plain harder than they think. There is also the risk that shareholders might not approve it, or that regulators could block it. They mentioned that management's focus might be pulled away from normal business due to the merger, and that keeping important employees could be tough. Plus, the announcement itself could affect customer and employee relationships. They acknowledged the merger could end up costing more than planned, and that issuing new stock could dilute the value for existing shareholders. And of course, general economic and market conditions can always play a role. This is essentially a risk management playbook for the merger. Finally, they make it clear that they aren't promising to update these forward-looking statements if new information comes out or if circumstances change after today. This is a legal disclaimer to protect them from being held responsible if their future predictions turn out to be wrong. This section just lists the supporting documents or exhibits that come with the main report. Think of these as the evidence for all the claims made in the document. Exhibit 2.1 is the actual full agreement for the merger between QNB Corp and the Victory Bancorp Inc. This is the foundational document that lays out all the terms and conditions. Exhibit 99.1 is the form of the support agreement that QNB made with Victory S shareholders, like the board members we talked about earlier, promising to vote for the deal. Exhibit 99.2 is the flip side, the support agreement that Victory made with QNB S shareholders, getting their commitment to vote for the merger. And Exhibit 99.3 is that joint press release we mentioned, the public announcement of the merger. Exhibit 104 is related to the electronic filing format, the interactive data that makes the document digital friendly. Nothing super exciting for us, but important for the SECS system. Alright, now we're at the very end, the signatures section. This is where the company officially signs off on the document, confirming that they're telling the truth and taking responsibility for the information provided. Here we see the signature block with David W. Freeman, the Chief Executive Officer of QNB Corp, signing off on this report. He dates it the 23rd of September 2025, confirming the date of the filing and attesting to its accuracy. So, looking at this whole deal between QNB Corp and the Victory Bancorp Incorporated, the story is one of strategic consolidation. QNB is looking to expand its footprint and likely gain market share by absorbing Victory. The detailed provisions about bringing Victory directors, especially Joseph W. Major onto the QNB board and giving him key leadership roles like vice chair and chair of the strategic planning committee signals a strong belief in their expertise and a desire for a smooth integration of leadership. This is a common tactic to make sure the acquired company's valuable insights are retained and used effectively. The risk section is quite extensive, which is typical for mergers. It highlights that while the intent is positive, the execution is fraught with potential challenges, from regulatory approvals that could fail, to shareholder dissent, to the sheer difficulty of merging two complex organizations. QNB isn't hiding the ball here. They being very transparent about the hurdles. The overall direction seems to be growth through acquisition. QNB is taking on Victory to become larger and presumably more competitive. The main strength here is the potential synergy and combined market power. The biggest weakness, as highlighted by the company itself, is the execution risk. Mergers are notoriously difficult to get right, and the integration process can make or break the perceived success of the deal. A key opportunity is the leadership integration, particularly with Mr. Major S role, which could provide significant benefits if managed well. A notable risk is the dilution of shares for existing QNB shareholders, due to the stock issuance, which they correctly point out. The deal is structured to ensure shareholder and board buy-in, which is a positive sign for potential approval. However, the success will ultimately depend on how well they can blend the operations and cultures of these two banking institutions. What is your take on this merger? Do you think QNB and Victory joining forces will create a stronger bank? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, give this video a thumbs up. And for more deep dives into corporate filings like this, make sure you are subscribed and hit that notification bell. We also have a fantastic community over on Discord, so come join the conversation and become a true corporate decoder. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.